Welcome to our worship service at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. On this Memorial Day weekend, we are gathering this morning, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and embracing the warmth and light of spring. My name is Suvanki, and I'm the Celebration Associate today. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to everyone, whether you're newcomers or attending for a long time, members of the Ithaca community, or watching from elsewhere. We are so glad you're here with us. Please check your email, our Facebook page, and our website for more information about how to create connections. If you'd like to receive weekly updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are especially invited to visit our website and complete a newcomer form on the homepage so that we can get to know you and you can learn more about us. Join us on Sunday, June 13th, for our gathering at Stewart Park. This will be a new spin on our annual tradition. Join in a ritual of goodbye from Reverend Margaret and a celebration of our shared ministry together. Registration is available in the weekly announce, and we are inviting you to register for one of 3 time slots, 10 a.m., 11:45 a.m., or 1:45 p.m. We have a limited number of slots available for each time, so please be sure to register every member of your family individually and do so as soon as possible. All 3 gatherings will include signing in, temperature checks, mask, and social distancing to keep us all safe. Our service this morning has been pre-recorded, but we look forward to sharing the service broadcast on Sunday morning and seeing you at the live coffee hour that follows.
Good morning. Our opening words are adapted from Jennifer Von Roo and Lynette Lowe, Being Sanctuary. Welcome to this virtual gathering, this sanctuary of peace, where we come to not only create our best selves, but also to do the work of creating beloved community. We come together as individuals, much like pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes, sizes, colors, all of which are broken, with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together we are guided by our principles to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and beauty you discover in one another create peace and fill our hearts with love. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
Good morning, friends. Let's grab our envelopes marked 5:30 or May 30th now. We have a big one this week. Inside mine, I found an American flag. Can you think of a reason why we might have an American flag in our packets this week? That's right, tomorrow is Memorial Day. Memorial Day is a time for honoring and mourning the military personnel who have died in the performance of their military duties while serving in the United States Armed Forces. And so we think about stories of brave people who have served and protected our country. In January, we inaugurated a new president, Joe Biden, who described our country in his speech. He said, "Let us be the nation that we know we can be. A nation united, a nation strengthened, a nation healed. This is a great nation, and we are a good people. This is the United States of America, and there has never been anything we haven't been able to do when we've done it together." It is our military people who swear to protect and serve this America that Joe Biden describes. So when we honor and mourn those who died during their service, we are remembering their stories. And how does remembering these stories help us? Well, by telling stories of courageous people, we are inspired to be courageous people too. And since this is our final Sunday of May, our month to explore how stories shape our lives, beliefs, and community, I'm going to share a story now with you called The Wall by Eve Bunting, used with permission by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. The Wall. This is the wall, my grandfather's wall. On it are the names of those killed in a war long ago. Where is Grandpa's name? I ask. We have to find it, Dad says. He and I have come a long way for this, and we walk slowly, searching. The wall is black and shiny as a mirror. In it I can see Dad and me. I can see the bare trees behind us and the dark flying clouds. A man in a wheelchair stares at the names. He doesn't have legs. I'm looking and he sees me looking and smiles. Hi, son. Hi. His hat is a soft, squashed green, and there are medals on it. His pant legs are folded back, and his shirt is a soldier's shirt. A woman old as my grandma is hugging a man old as my grandpa would be. They are both crying. Shh, he whispers. Shh. Flowers and other things have been laid against the wall. There are little flags, an old teddy bear, and letters, weighted with stones so they won't blow away. Someone has left a rose with a droopy head. Have you found Grandpa yet? I ask. No, Dad says. There are so many names. They're listed under the years when they were killed. I've found 1967. That's when my grandpa died. Dad runs his fingers along the rows of print, and I do too. The letters march side by side like rows of soldiers. They're nice and even. It's better printing than I can do. The wall is warm. Dad is searching and searching. Albert A. Jensen, Charles Bernowski, George Muniz, he mutters. His fingers stop moving. Here he is. My grandpa? I ask. Dad nods. Your grandpa. His voice blurs. My dad. He was just my age when he was killed. Dad's rubbing the name, rubbing and rubbing as if he wants to wipe it away. Maybe he just wants to remember the way it feels. He lifts me so I can touch it too. We've brought paper. Dad puts it over the letters and rubs on it with a pencil so the paper goes dark and the letters show up white. You've got parts of other guys' names on there too, I tell him. Dad looks at the paper. Your grandpa won't mind. They were probably friends of his anyway, I say. Dad nods. Maybe so. A man and a boy walk past. Can we go to the river now, Grandpa? The boy asks. Yes. The man takes the boy's hand. But button your jacket. It's cold. My dad stands very still with his head bent. A bunch of big girls in school uniforms come down the path. Their teacher is with them. They are all carrying more of those little flags. Is this wall for the dead soldiers, Miss Gerber? One of them asks in a loud voice. The names are the names of the dead, but the wall is for all of us, the teacher says. They make a lot of noise and ask a lot of questions, and all the time Dad just stands there with his head bowed, and I stand beside him. The girls stick their flags in the dirt in front of the wall and leave. Then it's quiet again. Dad folds the paper that has Grandpa's name on it and puts it in his wallet. He slides out a picture of me, one of the yucky ones they took in school. Mom made me wear a tie. Dad puts the picture on the grass below Grandpa's name. It blows away. I get it and put it back and pile some little stones on top. My face smiles up at me from under the stones. Grandpa won't know who I am, I tell Dad. I think he will, Dad says. I move closer to him. It's sad here. He puts his hand on my shoulder. I know, but it's a place of honor. I'm proud that your grandfather's name is on this wall. I am too, I am. But I'd rather have my grandpa here, taking me to the river, telling me to button my jacket because it's cold. I'd rather have him here. Thank you for sharing this story with me today. It is important to tell both stories that make us feel good and happy, and also those stories that make us feel sad. Both are a part of our story as a people and a community. I know there are so many families out there whose thoughts this weekend turn to loved ones lost and who wish, just like the child in our story, that their loved ones were with them.
Each week, we create a space in our worship together as a communal spiritual practice. We lift up the names and circumstances that call for our joy and celebration and for our concern and sorrow. Today, we are honoring Memorial Day and the sacrifice of those who have died while serving in the armed forces. I also want to take a moment to honor the healthcare workers and other caretakers who have lost their lives in the line of duty, defending us against a very different kind of threat. Analogous to our military personnel, they have been fighting a deadly adversary with insufficient resources and sometimes limited understanding from those of us on the outside about the work they are doing. I also want to take this time to acknowledge the death of George Floyd on May 25th, 1 year ago, and the great tidal wave of grief and outrage experienced by many in our country over the past year about the repeated incidents of injustice toward the people of color among us. If you are watching this service in its live format, I invite you to type your joy or sorrow into the chat box. Or, if you wish, you can speak it to the people you are watching with or aloud to yourself. Together, may we trust that these joys and sorrows are held by the universe, and may we offer our love and compassion that they may be held with care. At the beginning of our live coffee hour each week, we will have a facilitator who will offer space for the sharing of joys and sorrows. May we all engage in the communal spiritual practice of listening deeply and offering our care and compassion to one another. Now, holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows of our lives, let us continue in some moments of reflection. This reading is Who Speaks for Peace on Memorial Day by the Quaker writer Doug Bennett. For a Quaker, what's the right approach to Memorial Day? Is it a day to celebrate? A day to witness? A day not even to notice? Every Memorial Day, from morning to evening, I wonder about this. Here in Topsom, Brunswick, Maine, we have an iconic Memorial Day celebration. There's a ceremony in Topsom at the Town Hall Fire Station to mark the occasion, and then a very locally flavored parade that marches down Main Street, crosses the river, and continues into Brunswick to the town green, where there is another ceremony. A veteran of hearing the speeches and reading the banners, I parse the messages into two kinds. One, honor the memory of those who died in defense of our country. That's a message that stirs my heart. I think of Dennis Hoppo, my friend growing up who was killed in Vietnam. I think of John Ogden, my older son Tommy's grandfather, the one he'll never meet, who died in the Normandy invasion. Neither had anything to do with the decisions to go to war. Both still had their whole adult lives in front of them, never to be realized. I welcome a day to remember them. I honor not just their memory, but also their sacrifice. There was nothing selfish in their willingness to serve. I remember and honor, too, those who served and survived the experience. They, too, served in ways that deserve remembering. It is the other main Memorial Day message that I would just as soon not hear. It's the one that urges us to renew our commitment to standing strong to protect our freedom. It is the message that says we enjoy today our freedoms, our prosperity, our way of life, only by virtue of our willingness to wage war. We are only one new Hitler away from losing our freedoms, is the way one speaker put it this Memorial Day. I do not think I have ever heard a Memorial Day speaker say that we can and must find ways to make war unnecessary. I wish I would. For too many people, those two messages go hand in hand. Most Americans can hardly imagine how it could be otherwise. So who speaks for the possibility of peace on Memorial Day? Who speaks wholeheartedly for peace, not for the peace that follows war, but for the peace that resolves conflicts without war, without deaths that need to be memorialized? Memorial Day may be the hardest day to separate these two messages. It may be the most difficult time to lift up one message while calling the other one into question.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information will appear on your screen in a moment during the offertory music. Giving to the plate is important. It's a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. The first time you give with the text link is a little longer process, but after the initial information is entered, the following donations are quick and easy. So please take a moment and give either through the text option or the giving button on the home page of the website. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
Fire can warm your hands and feet when it's very, very cold. Or it can lick clean a mountainside of trees 1,000 flame fanned from a spark, creating shadows dancing out of dark. It can ravage the heart and give rebirth to the soul. Fire can warm your hands and feet when it's very, very cold. Or it can warm your hands and feet when it's very, very trees 1,000 years old. Or it can lick clean a mountainside, creating shadows 1,000 out of dark. It can ravage the heart from a spark and give rebirth, creating shadows dancing out of dark. It can ravage the heart, warm your hands and feet, and give rebirth to the soul. Fire can warm your hands and feet when it's very, very cold. Can warm your hands and feet when it's very, very trees. Can clean a mountainside of trees 1,000 years mountainside, creating shadows dancing a mountainside, creating shadows 1,000 years and give rebirth, creating shadows dancing out of dark and give rebirth, creating shadows dancing out of dark and give rebirth to it can ravage the heart and give rebirth to the soul.
My first reading is taken from President Harry Truman's Memorial Day proclamation in 1950. Since war is the world's most terrible scourge, we should do all in our power to prevent its recurrence. It was the hope of mankind that with the cessation of hostilities of World War II, the way would be open to founding a permanent peace. Instead, that war has left the world in a state of continued unrest. Accordingly, we feel the need in turning in humble supplicants to Almighty God for help and guidance. In recognition of this need, the Congress has fittingly provided, in a joint resolution which I approved on May 11th, 1950, that Memorial Day, which has long been set aside for paying tribute to those who lost their lives in war, shall henceforth be dedicated also as a day for nationwide prayer for permanent peace. My second reading is taken from Maya Angelou's poem, written for the 1993 presidential inauguration. The rock cries out to us today. A rock, a river, a tree, hosts to species long since departed, marked the mastodon. The dinosaur who left dry tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom of dust and ages. But today, the river cries out to us clearly, forcefully, "Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny. Seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no more hiding place down there. You, created only a little lower than the angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long, face down your ignorance, your mouth spilling words, armed for slaughter. The rock cries out today, you may stand on me, but do not hide your face. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. Come rest here by my side, each of you a bordered country, delicate and strangely made proud, yet thrusting perpetually under siege. Your armed struggles for profit have left colors of waste upon my shore, currents of debris upon my breast. Yet today I call you to my riverside, if you will study war no more. Come, clad in peace, and I will sing the songs the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the stone were one. Memorial Day weekend. Picnics, graduation, moving, academic transitions, my birthday, something about white shoes, and all of it attached to a day designated to honor and mourn military personnel who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Honoring those who have died in battle and decorating their graves is an ancient tradition. And there's a lot of mythology about the origins of Decoration Day, as Memorial Day was initially called, much of it centering over the town or region in this country where it originated. It was observed for many years on May 30th, until 1971, when an act of Congress established Memorial Day on the last Monday of May. At first glance, I'm not an obvious person to speak on Memorial Day. I'm not a veteran, and there are remarkably few veterans in my extended family. The one exception being my grandfather, George Lindbergh Sr., who enlisted in the Navy during World War I. Though serving on convoy duty in the North Atlantic, he did not see significant action and returned full of stories and a trunk full of uniforms that were aired out for parades on Memorial Day and the 4th of July. These parades were a big feature of my dad's childhood. He remembered as a very young boy watching the last elderly Civil War veterans of the venerated Minnesota regiments marching in his hometown of Fairmont. If nothing else, a reminder of how brief the arc is of our country's history. But in other ways, I may be an ideal representative for contemplating Memorial Day. My own life may be relatively untouched by military service and death, but I am a citizen of a country, a voting member of a democracy, however imperfect, where over 1.4 million women and men are currently serving as active duty military personnel. 1.4 million men and women who risk their lives for causes and conflicts that my government deems to be worth their sacrifice. And the society in which we live has been shaped by many decades of conflict, in which millions have served and hundreds of thousands have died. Some of these wars feel just and moral causes of the highest order. Those Civil War veterans my dad watched from his flag-decorated tricycle, they were comrades of men who turned the tide at Gettysburg with enormous loss of life. But the justifications given for many other conflicts in which our country deploys its armed forces feel less clear to me. And this is where I appreciate the reminder in the meditation reading from Doug Bennett. Memorial Day may be the hardest day to separate the two messages, but they can be separated. We can honor the sacrifice of those serving in the military and mourn their loss, while at the same time examining and questioning the need for armed conflicts, which our votes and tax dollars support. I'm reminded again of my dad's story. After a childhood steeped in parades and patriotic celebration, he became a nuclear physicist and was so horrified by the cavalier handling of nuclear weapons by politicians, particularly during the Cuban Missile Crisis, that he steered his family away from parades, fireworks, and anything else he thought would be used to emotionally manipulate people toward a path to self-destruction. But while he distanced us from the celebrations, it also disengaged us from the reality and human costs of military service. I'm also distanced from military service and sacrifice by privilege. Some of that is demographic. My parents and their siblings and cousins were generally a few years too young to serve in World War II, and their children a few years too young to be drafted for Vietnam. But it also reflects socioeconomic privilege. Dad, though briefly a member of the Minnesota National Guard, avoided mobilization for the Korean War by being in graduate school. And no one in my family or among my college friends and acquaintances needed to rely on enlistment for educational aid or income. Maybe this holds true for you as well, but the fewer people I know in the armed forces or any other group, the less personal connection I feel. And this is why I remind myself about Rachel. I got to know Rachel when she was working in our lab at Cornell. She was hired to make culture media and wash dishes, and was one of the most responsible undergraduate workers we ever had. She was majoring in engineering. She was from Maine and a member of ROTC, in part because her father would not pay tuition for girls in her family. During the 2 years she worked for us, we got to know her and enjoyed stories about her ROTC weekends. When she graduated, we took her out to lunch in Aladdin's in College Town and gave her Cornell memorabilia and a set of romance novels, which she used to decompress. A year or two after her graduation, 2 people in red jackets appeared in the lab. Rachel had indicated before she left that she might be serving on a nuclear submarine, and we were questioned as part of her security clearance. In that moment, I experienced an enormous and somewhat unexpected surge of gratitude and admiration. The 2 interviewers were mostly interested in any suspicious behavior we might have observed. But I gave them an impassioned speech about how fortunate they were to have someone as smart and capable as Rachel, and how grateful I felt to know that someone with her capabilities was serving in our military. It's been several years since I've heard any news about Rachel, and she may well have completed her period of service by now. But when I hear news about military engagements, hers is one of the faces I see. I think about those who make the decisions to engage our military in armed conflict and hope they appreciate the incredible human resources they command. And I remind myself that Rachel and others like her are serving in the U.S. military and risking their lives in my name. The least I can do is honor that sacrifice and commit to being an active citizen of this country, engaging with the political processes that lead to our military engagement, and holding those processes to the highest standard. I know that many people believe, in Doug Bennett's words, that our freedoms, our prosperity, our way of life are all fruits of our willingness to wage war. Consequently, I was a little struck to read that President Truman's Memorial Day proclamation invoked the search for enduring peace, or President Eisenhower's Memorial Declaration 5 years later invoked the search for enduring peace and permanent peace. While I differ with them in God's role, Both of them invoked the power of the Almighty. I really admire the audacity of that hope. Just as I admire the audacity of pacifists like Doug Bennett, and frankly, of our sixth principle, the goal of world community, with peace, liberty, and justice for all. It can feel so far out of reach. But maybe better to ask, what does peace mean for each of us? In our lives, in our country, in our world? And what step could each of us take on this Memorial Day, on the road toward enduring peace?
Let there be light, let there be understanding, let all the nations gather, let them be face to face. Open our lips, open our minds to ponder, open the door of concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the bombs and hunger, perish the fight for gain. Let there be light, open our hearts to wonder, perish the way of terror, hallow the world God made.
This Memorial Day comes after a year of loss for many of us. And while we honor sacrifice, whether of soldiers or medical workers, I also want to acknowledge that many of us live with the grief that comes hand in hand with loss. And so I'll close with an excerpt of Starlings in Winter by Mary Oliver. Ah, world, what lessons you prepare for us, even in the leafless winter, even in the ashy city. I'm thinking now of grief and of getting past it. I feel my boots trying to leave the ground. I feel my heart pumping hard. I want to think again of dangerous and noble things. I want to be light and frolicsome. I want to be improbable, beautiful, and afraid of nothing, as though I had wings. Go in peace.
Do you see me? I see you. Did you think that I could not see through? I used to think you couldn't see me when I curled up tight. Now I know you see me, so I'm letting in the light. I can love you as you are. You can hold me in your arms. I couldn't see how I could open up as much as you. The colors of my being seem to stick inside like glue. Now the dust surrounds me, knowing what I have inside. I feel it in my molecules, that's ready to fly. Do you see me? I see you. Did you think that I could not see through? Do you see me? when I curled up tight. Now I know you see me, so I'm letting in the light. I couldn't see how I could open up as much as you. The colors of my being seem to stick inside like glue. Now the dust surrounds me, knowing what I have inside. I feel it in my molecules, I'm ready to fly.